through multiple sources. So let me see. Let me make sure I don't overwrite my other stream there, the scheduled stream. Let's see if I can get this done here. Oh, I've got to log into it and hold on one sec, guys. All right, cool. I mean, I guess I could prep all this stuff in the future. Here. Let's see. Okay, so that is showing up live. Okay, cool. Let me refresh that here. Here. Okay, cool. Reviewing sectors. That looks neat. Okay, let me see if I can pull that up just basically with YouTube real quick. So let's see, YouTube. Buble. There. Okay, cool. That is kind of cool. Hey, cool. What's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not sure. I have to figure out if I can get this broadcaster console. I'm triple broadcasting right now. I'm going to YouTube. I'm going to ShareVision, and I'm also using Twitch. So let me get all this stuff tweeted out here now. So pretty cool stuff there. So let's see. So live on YouTube here. Okay, live on Twitch. Live on Twitch. Here. And live on ShareVision. Here. Live on ShareVision. Here. And this is, let's see, I mean, share version on here. Let me just take a look at this here real quick, guys. 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, let's get it there. There. Let's see here. Cool. All right, cool. So we're so live on YouTube, live on Twitch, and live on ShareVision. So hopefully this is coming through okay. Yeah, I can see. Wow, Twitch is really, of all of them, has like no lag, which is really cool. So again, guys, I apologize. I probably won't be able to get to. I'm at the end after I'm done kind of going through these sectors. I'll take a look at the chats and see if I can figure out what everybody's saying. And kind of go from there. So cool stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is not a standard thing, guys. I'm doing something new. Just looking to do more streaming out there and just help more people is really my goal. So tonight I'm just going to run through some sectors. This is stuff I like to do on a Saturday. Obviously, normally I. On Saturdays, we write the newsletter. We have the newsletter out for our group. We look through setups, things like that for them. And this is, just kind of a little bit different. We put a playlist together in our Discord too for the week that's kind of above and beyond the newsletter too. So really cool stuff there. But let's take a look here and just kind of start digging in. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, right, is just stuff that I like to do on Saturday anyway. I like to run through the sectors to see how things are looking, and so I'm going to do that with you guys, and just so you can kind of see what I look at on different time frames, and maybe try to drill down and see what might be kind of coming along here this week, and just kind of give a overall market perspective, right? So just kind of looking at that. And so again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Like I said, I probably won't be able to get to the chats and everything like that till after. This is not one of my standard shows. I'm kind of just running through charts here and just looking and just seeing what we think as we go through here. So, but as always, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only, and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome. Good. So for this show, I've got some nice charts pulled up right here. Hopefully you guys like the coloring of it. I think this is really a nice tone, kind of real relaxing on the eyes, and not too many indicators on here. Mostly just candlesticks, but there's a couple key ones that I like to keep on here. So PLTR, I just answered a question on Twitter about this one. Somebody asked me about PLTR on Twitter. And let me get this. Let me get my chart actually pulled up here so I can play with it. Good. I like how everything's broadcasting here simultaneously. So one of the things that I like, or that I don't like, is the fact that this is the weekly chart right here, and we closed on PLTR. We had an inside week down, right? I mentioned that with my inside week analysis going into the week, but I really don't like how this thing dropped after earnings, and we closed under the 30 weekly moving average, right? So the 30 week is a really important one. We've talked about that in the past. How that important that is on the for the weekly time frame. Stan Weinstein was a big proponent of this level, and it's important, right? So, and we're also under the mid Bollinger Band here with some pretty big volume after earnings, right? So I don't want to be there, right? Notice how once we got over the 30 week, right? So we pushed down to it here, and then we started to bounce off of it. PLTR got a little bit of a bounce. Once we got over it, right? This is a weekly chart, right? It started to work its way up nicely, right? And it's a pretty new stock, so not too many weeks on this one. You go to the monthly chart, red, bearish, engulfing month so far, right? So, I mean, this is not something I want to be involved in, especially if I'm kind of a long-term holder, right? So, I want to show signs that things are improving. Now, its earnings were okay, right? But it was still worse than expected, right? And that's also not good, for longer-term, holders. We don't want that, right? We want profits to go up. We want earnings to go up, right? So here that was at least in the positive territory. It was negative here when it first started, right? And then it was here, it was worse than expected, right? I mean, so that's not good, right? So this is just kind of common, not common sense. I mean, maybe you can call it common sense if you haven't thought about it. I'm not saying you don't have common sense. I'm just saying, it's something to look at, right? So pretty cool stuff there. So let's see. So that's basically what I'm looking at. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to run through some monthly charts, and then we'll kind of drill down on the weekly charts and see what's looking strong versus weak overall. And then we'll kind of get into of those. If there's any strong weekly charts, we'll go in. We'll kind of drill in and take a look and see if there's anything within those names that are looking good, right? So pretty cool stuff there. So let's get started with that. So let's take a look here. So the first one, obviously the big one that we really want to take a look at here are the semis, right? So semiconductors, guys, this is everything from Intel to AMD and Nvidia, right? These things, this is the monthly chart here. Just so strong here. We're 2 weeks into the month. We had a nice hammer candle last month. We were kind of high, right? But it's been holding, right? So one of the things we like to look at, right, is this, right? So look at that lower shadow, right? This means all these lower shadows right here means that there's been, buying pressure at these lows, right? And you can see that, we're basically just holding these lows right here. And so last month was a good month to look at the semiconductors, and we did that heading into this month. We were long AMD and Nvidia in our group early this month, and we called Nvidia up to 250, and it just kept on going. And they're just, AMD and Nvidia have just been really the two most active names right now, right? And so, we look for, these kind of levels that are looking really nice, right? And so, the tough part is last week, or 2 weeks ago, was such a strong week, right? We got involved this week right here. So that was, like we said, the beginning of the month. We liked how it kind of was getting tight right here. There was a weekly breakout. We liked the harmonic that was kind of setting up right here. We thought there was more room to the upside, and then just the follow through we got the prior week, last week, was incredible, right? So what does this mean here now with this week? So we've got the semiconductors basically spinning top, right? I mean, so this could be a doji sandwich, or it could be a reversal, right? I mean, here's a spinning top right here. We had this is, relatively to this, not the same, right? But, we never saw this, right? So you have this kind of spinning top here, and things kind of reverse down. Now we're also over the upper Bollinger Band on the weekly chart. That's pretty much the only thing I keep on the weekly chart right here. Sometimes I compare it to the RSI. I try to keep a clean chart these days with not too many indicators on it. You can put the RSI in here, but, RSI has probably been overbought like forever, right? So that's one of the things we look at there. So honestly, I'm not going to really look at too many individual names on this one. I'm not a huge fan of this chart right now. Then what we can do is we just look at it. Let's just look at AMD, Nvidia, and Intel, right? So AMD, we could look at WDC too. That was pretty epic, but it's already kind of made a move. AMD is interesting, right? So we had some, on the daily chart, we pulled back to the 80 MA. We saw a lot of this last week. We were expecting a pullback this week based on our wave count. And anybody who wants to follow along with the wave counts, definitely check us out on Twitter and on YouTube, and subscribe to all these channels, right? Because we post these and they're really, really helpful, right? So AMD. Decent push here off the 80 MA. I don't like the volume on this one. It seems like it's trying, but kind of doing its thing. Nvidia is getting tight though, so that is interesting. And Nvidia has earnings this week. So again, I don't encourage anybody to trade into earnings. Oftentimes an iron condor does work for Nvidia, but that's a very, very tricky one. You could really get hurt on those if it ends up having a huge move. And this one is pretty extended, but it is getting tight too. I would have to imagine most folks are pretty bullish on it. I have to imagine it beats. The thing with Nvidia is it typically doesn't go crazy after earnings. That's why the Iron Condor seems to be good on it. This used to report a lot on Thursdays, and therefore it was an Iron Condor into Friday, so you get all this huge vol crush onto it, which would be great. But we don't really see that much anymore. Of course, the stock split was huge recently, but again, look at it after earnings. It hardly really ever moves. It's not prone to big gaps or big moves, right? So we'll definitely be looking at this maybe for some potential premium selling going into earnings. So, but also keep an eye on it and see if it does an earnings run. So those are kind of the big semi names that I would look at. And the only reason I'm really kind of drilling into these, I'm not excited about the weekly chart really too much. I just want to see what it's doing now. Intel, again, this is kind of a behemoth name, right? It's back below the 80 MA. Is anybody bullish on that with it below the 80 MA? No, right? We don't want to mess with it right now. If it pushes back up above it and the sector stays strong, then we'd be interested in it. We'd want to take a look at it, right? So that's one there. And then one more I want to point out right here. One of our members really loved this name and did fantastic on it. And WDC has been great. Sometimes it gives us some great setups. But this is one that gets beat up a lot with Micron, right? With MU, and this had a big down move after earnings, and just a beautiful green candle afterward, and just kind of just worked its way up, faded the gap, and then it stayed above the 80 MA generally pretty well, right? So it was below it right here with kind of lower volume. Here it got a little more volume below it. It's kind of a little bit sketchy, but kind of bull flaggish, and then this big breakout over the 50-day. Boom, nice follow through here on Friday. So WDC was pretty cool, but I wouldn't chase it now, right? Big upper shadow on that one, right? So that's one of the big ones that we've been looking at. Other than that, that's the semis, right? So again, monthly chart looks pretty good here on WDC, but if you go to the monthly chart, right, on the semis, it's tough to get long here, right? It's tough to get long here. Now, back here when it was the high, right, was it tough to get long? Maybe, but maybe the pause month is a little bit better, right? I like to see a little bit of a pullback, even like a little hammer right here to see if we get some upside movement. Like this candle right here was pretty decent here on the monthly chart, right? So good. So I'm just basically going through, like I said, a couple of these names, a couple of these sectors. I'll probably go like, 4 or 5 bullish ones, 4 or 5 bearish ones, and just, kind of go from there. So the GDX, guys, this is one of our favorite ones from last week. Monthly chart was green. Nice push up. This is one of our most bullish names going into last week. Weekly chart was really strong, and we got this big push back up over the 30 weekly moving average. And look what we got this week. This was a bullish radar. A lot of our members traded this. This was on our Discord playlist on Monday, and really just gave a nice move, right? Just kind of going into the week, right? Our target on this one was the 200-day moving average, right? We already hit that by Wednesday, and then it just kind of still bullish. I mean, we still have an engulfing candle on this one, so keep an eye on this. With the inflation news this week, right? Gold names, started to perk up again, and so again, they've been FANG-like before, right? So just keep that in mind. So again, I know gold can be really, really boring, but sometimes they can give a good trade. And what was really cool is, you guys know we like ChatterQuant. We like working with them, and we use their software, and you guys can get a special discount on that too if you check out my Twitter stream, or if you guys are on YouTube, that type of thing. But they put us on gold, and I think it was like Monday. We were already bullish on gold, and it was like, okay, well, there's nothing else going on, and gold has a super strong chart, right? Let's go, right? And that was here's the where is it, the GLD? We profiled it here this week, but gold was really nice, right? And so it was here on Wednesday, right? So this is where we got long, right? It was an incredible pre-market, right? This is after the CPI numbers came out, right? 8:30 CPI came out, and they were worse than expected, right? Inflation worse than expected. So much for transitory inflation, right? So we had that type of move. So it ended up working its way up here, and then we burst above there. This is a great trade right here. I mean, for anybody that likes to make 20% in 10 minutes, right? I mean, it's a good trade. So for the rest of the day, it was blah, but it's gold. It's, if you know how it trades, right? That's what it does, right? So anyway, so that's how we trade it, and we of course went over that in our Discord. So that's the GDX. That's gold. Other than that, like I said, it's pretty decent. It's getting some good strength on this one. There is a gap here, right? I pointed this out not too long ago. There is a gap here, so there could be some continued strength going into this week. Like I said, it'll probably end up gapping up. If it does gap up, right, just kind of see how it handles that. So again, I wouldn't. This is not one I'm looking at chasing right now, but we'll continue to look for it for relative strength. Okay, let's take a look at the Chinese internet names. Okay, so let's take a look at the first of all, let's look at the monthly chart inside month right now. So we're 2 weeks into the month right now, but we are kind of pushing off of a doji month. These got beat up a lot recently, and a lot of this had to do with just the China crackdown type stuff, right? Like their glorious leader is like continuing to crack down on everything, and so that affected these names a lot, right? And and what was the other thing? Evergrande, right? So that's something to kind of keep an eye on there too. But look at all the volume in here the last couple months on the K web. That's pretty impressive, right? So Baba's one of the big ones on there too. They just had their singles day right this week, and they actually did better than expected. Like Baba did better than expected, but it's kind of like a sell the news type event, right? So pretty interesting stuff there. But yeah, so this to me, this looks like accumulation, right? So this is markdown accumulation and potential for markup. A lot of people are scared of the K web right now, but it's kind of you gotta find the right setup on this stuff. I would say over these the 55 kind of this monthly high right here. If we get over the 50-day here on the monthly chart, I would start to get very interested. But inside month here in the works. Weekly chart, okay. Nice green candle, almost a morning star reversal type style to it, just not quite there. And it's kind of grinding its way up. But where are we? We're below the 30 weekly moving average. So again, if anything, it might make a push up here. But like I said, over that 55-30 level here on the K web would get interesting. So other than that, daily chart's looking okay. So, it might get a pop this week. Like I said, if we're going to look at anything, our favorite name last week, I'm not even going to look at Baba here, guys. JD was our favorite name last week. We finally gave a nice pullback right here. Let's look at the daily chart. Just a beautiful move. We pointed this out as a swing idea on the 11th for our group. Why? Because it was on our bullish radar, right? And so it was looking pretty strong and a beautiful close, right? It gapped over the inside day high, and we got great follow through on this one for anybody who likes a double on their options, right? So do we just go straight options? No, we like to do call debit spreads, and got a nice move on there. So my next target on this one, I'm not saying you should chase it right here or anything like that, but 88, right, could be a potential, right? So that's a very, very interesting area right there. So definitely want to keep an eye on and see if JD continues to work its way up. So this is one that we've been liking here too. Right, I'll look at Baba here real quick. I just take a glance at it, but just not as magical, right? It's got earnings coming up this week. It's getting really, really tight. We thought maybe it was going to work its way down. This is a nice weak candle right here. But again, like I said, the overall sector is okay, right? And you've got JD that actually did well after the singles day. So maybe Baba will catch up a little bit, come up to these levels, but I would just be very careful with this name. Usually this name doesn't move much into earnings either, right? So this is one you just kind of, just nothing, so it's not like, you did have this gap down right here, but again, sometimes you don't even know when this thing reports. It's like it reports at like 12 a.m. or something like that. So usually it doesn't get a lot of crazy earnings moves. This one moves on more kind of news type stuff, right? This moved a lot on when we had like China tariffs, China trade deal type stuff, right? So we had that going on, right? So cool stuff there. So those are kind of the big ones with the K web. These are kind of your names that are looking interesting, overall. So retail's having a pretty big month here so far. So retail's in breakout mode on the monthly. Okay, so just keep an eye on this right here. This is this retail could have some strength going into this week. Look at that on that monthly chart right there. Beautiful. That's a breakout right there. Beautiful on the XRT. So definitely keep an eye on that on there and say XRT just beautiful, right? So let's take a look now. Some of the retail names are tough. But that's a beautiful monthly chart here. Let's see what it's doing on the weekly. Now, weekly is interesting. To me, we are over the upper Bollinger Band, but look at what this thing has been doing on the weekly chart, just sideways here forever, right? So, when you saw that monthly triangle, well, that's what retail's been doing, right? So look at retail. Goodness gracious. Monstrous. Incredible. So anyway, so this thing is back over the upper Bollinger Band here. And look, could turn into a doji sandwich here on the weekly chart, right? So that's one of the things that we're kind of tracking, just to see how that goes here going into this week, right? So I would keep XRT on the bullish radar. Again, guys, there is the possibility, and if you guys tune in tomorrow night here, whatever broadcaster you're checking, if you're on Twitch, cool. If you're on YouTube, or if you're on the Share Vision. Definitely look at tuning in tomorrow night. I've got ChatterQuant's going to be live with us tomorrow, and that'll be fun. Chris from there, he did a show with us before and kind of profiled the software, and we're just mesmerized by it now. It's literally given us like at least one trade idea per day for like 2 weeks, right? Or when things were really, really choppy and we're in this wave B, on the market, where they didn't have any alerts, but Okay, cool. That just confirms that you shouldn't be trading, right? That type of thing. So of course we use other techniques, selling premium, things like that, to still generate cash flow. But yeah. So anyway, so he's going to be live with us tomorrow. That'll be fun. And before that, I'll go through the Elliott wave count. I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm just looking at sectors here. So, but yeah, wow, goodness gracious, incredible move from retail here. Big breakout, possible doji candle going to this one. So what do we look at going into next week? So names that are interesting. What are the big retail names, right, that we like? So let's take a look at Macy's. This is usually a popular one. Ooh, Macy's getting really tight. So that looks interesting, right? So this is the whole sector is kind of a pause last week. So Macy's had a big move. This is turning into kind of like a bullish pennant. So I'd say that's one to look at. We got earnings coming up. There's a little bit of room left for an earnings run on that. And in fact, a lot of retail is reporting this week. So they are pausing a little bit before there, right? So that's one of the big names. One of the heavier weighted names on the in the retail sector. A couple other names. Chewy is actually looking pretty good, right? So this is considered a retail name. It's also indexed on some other names too, like kind of like a stay-at-home name type thing, right? This thing's coming up to basically the top of a channel right here, and had a great day on Friday. And this one doesn't have earnings for a while. This one could really get going. If this thing, we traded Chewy guys here, we got long this day after OPEX, right? So earlier last month or mid last month. And pulled back a little bit. This hit our target at the 50-day moving average. This is an 8x trade on the options. We traded debit spreads on these, so we don't have to deal with this chop. Right? If you guys trade straight options and try to swing straight options, if you're not, if you're just trying to buy in some hype and all that stuff, how many times have you done that? Like raise your hand. How many times have you done that and just gotten crushed? A couple times, yeah, you get like maybe a 10x trade. You're like, yeah, I'm awesome, right? That type of thing. But how many times have you really done it and it's just like kind of just gone to zero, or got completely destroyed, and it moves up like this? You're like, I just want to get out of this thing. Right? Well, if you do debit spreads, you don't really worry about that as much, right? You have your target in mind. You know what your risk reward is getting there and what you're going to do, what's going to happen if you hit the target, and theta is not going to affect it, right? So the chop is not going to affect it. And so you can actually get something closer to your target date and not have to worry about the the chop, right? Because if you're trading an expiration on a Friday and you're not there at your target, you're crushed. But if on debit spreads, if you're close enough, you make some money on it, right? So there's a possibility there. Anyway, this turned into a great trade. I like how it broke out again and then pulled back, and this is a nice strong candle. Let's see if it can work its way up. Over here, the 200-day moving average is next. So with retail strong, and they don't have earnings this week, which is kind of interesting. Another one that's actually weighted on here is BJ's. So keep an eye on that one here too. Again, not the greatest name in the world to trade, but it's tagging fresh highs. So it's what it is. So amazing, right? So inflation is helping these companies, right? There is, because they're passing on the savings to you, right? So pretty cool stuff. So that's the XRT, which is looking pretty interesting there on the monthly chart. A couple other names, pretty boring, right? The XME, but hey, what is making money ever really boring, right? So I'm so bored. Right, so I'm so bored making money. XME is looking interesting right here. It's kind of poking its head above this little pennant right here. So keep an eye on this right here. These are your metals, right? So a couple of the metals that we like to look at too. So we look at X, marks the spot. Kind of interesting. This is getting really tight inside day. This one makes some nice moves, right? CCJ is another one that's kind of interesting. That's your uranium. Uranium is a metal. So for those of you, right? So that's you get the XME there. Couple other names that are probably a little bit more kind of on this, are like companies that actually mine the stuff, right? So FCX. This had a big week last week, kind of a pause day on Friday, so that's one to kind of look at there. NEM, right? So steel, right? I'm sorry, Newmont Gold, right? So miner right now. Again, GDX type stuff on that, and Nucor, sorry, the steel company right here. So you got that. So you go to X, right? U.S. Steel. There you go. There's that one, and then CCJ, right? Keep an eye on this one. Uranium, kind of interesting stuff, right? Uranium's not a base metal of any sort, but right, it's metallic in nature, right? Anyway, so cool stuff there. Let's go to the let's see what else we got on the radar. Let's take a look at a few more. Let's take a look at a few more sectors here, guys, and then we'll look at some generally bearish names that have been kind of weak on the monthly, and we'll see how those are playing in. And I don't know if we'll really kind of make a conclusion about anything, but we'll kind of go from there. So good. So let's take a look at the so we look at the XMA. Let's look at one more, the home builders. This could be considered retail too. This could be considered retail too. Look at these home builders, guys. I mean, look at the move. If you don't think it's inflation, right? You know what's so funny too is the Fed actually, they came out and they were like, back here ish, they're like, we're gonna work on raising inflation. I mean, you guys have been pumping money in the system forever. Of course, inflation's gonna happen, right? So, but it is what it is. Pennant breakout, guys. Last week, this is a monthly breakout right here on the home builders, which is pretty cool. So, so two of the home builders are actually retail, right? Home Depot and Lowe's, right? And they're actually pretty heavily indexed, pretty heavily weighted on the home builders. It's kind of interesting, right? Weekly chart. Again, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful breakout. It's 2 weeks of breakouts here on the home builders, guys. And it's like, you expect, you try to think, try to predict that, well, housing is too high right now. And I'm not saying it's not, but it just is what it is, right? You got your Lennar, right? Big inside day up on Friday. Of course, a lot of things were bullish on Friday, but a lot of nice pullbacks here to the ADMA and, kind of some explosives. These are not easy names to trade, by the way. These are not day trade names. You can sometimes day-trade Home Depot, but a lot of these names here kind of like you got to either hold it, right? Toll Brothers, right? It's kind of a big move right there. And then paging, what is that? DR Horton. Where's my DR? Where's my DR Horton? What's the guys? What's the DR Horton ticker? How do they do it on that one? Gosh, I always think it's another one. Let me see. What's a DR Horton? DHI. I keep on thinking it's something else. Yeah, so DHI. Thanks guys if you guys put it in there. So DHI. Let's take a look. Yeah, so DHI, another inside day up on this one, but this one gapped right after earnings, and they basically came out and said on their earnings report. I don't trade this one very often, guys. This is not because they're not day trade names. But if you're interested in home builders, right, these are ones to look at. But when home builders move, I go right to Home Depot. Right, this is the go-to name for home builders for me. Right, so DHI, right, paging Dr. Horton, right. So they basically came out and said they had crushed it on earnings. Right, but what are they doing? They're reporting like the basically right after the summer, as the rates are still low and all that stuff. Of course, he's like they come out and they say like we're selling homes, as soon as we build them, they buy them. Right? Well, that's a good earnings conference call right now. We haven't broken above these highs. Now, DR Horton might actually pop if we get above these recent highs, right? So, but home builders are strong going into this week. So those are ones to keep an eye right here. But the big ones really to keep an eye on this week are Home Depot. But look how tight this thing is getting before earnings. We got earnings coming up this week. They are the 16th, right before the open. So Tuesday morning, which is also a retail name, right? So we got this. Kind of getting really tight. So which way is it going to go? Who knows? But the chart, the home builder chart is really strong. So just kind of keep an eye on that going into this week. And Lowe's is reporting this week too. Okay? So good. So those are the bullish names, guys. And stonks only go up, right? So that's the that's the theory. And they pretty much do. And we can get into that a little bit more, of course. Let's... Right, let's see what it does. Let's see what it does after earnings there. So let's take a look at a couple names that are a little bit bearish. Okay, so we create some custom sectors in our group, custom ETFs. So let's take a look at a few names right here. So of course we've got the stay-at-home names and we've got the go-out names, right? The don't stay-at-home names, the go-out and party names, right? So we've created our own casino sector. There's some other ones out there, but there's only certain names that you can actually trade in the casino sector. So we list these names here, right? So, but basically, Win, right, and LVS are kind of the easiest names, and Penn is often traded. Almost thinking about adding DKNG to the sector here too, but we'll kind of go from there. But these are straight up casinos, right? So, bearish, right? I mean, look at the weekly chart. We're under the 30 weekly moving average. Not much we do. Look how compressed the Bollinger Bands are getting here too. Right, see that contraction here? See how it did that here? Contraction, and then boom, expansion, contraction. Who knows? I'd like to see it get over, right, the 30 week to see if we can get going right there. But right now, just blah, right? So if you kind of just zone in on a couple names that we like, so Win that we like to trade. Win is over the ADMA. It's double inside day. That could get interesting. They already had earnings. Obviously, it didn't go too well, but wasn't horrible. And look at LVS holding this geometric line here, right? They already did their earnings too. So weak, but if it breaks down below, if you guys want to track these, right, see if it breaks down below that geometric line with any sort of volume, and kind of go from there, right? And then if it's weak, then we'll see if we get follow through, right? Then you get your targets, right? So if we had a light breakdown below these levels right here, right, maybe the 37 put spreads, stuff like that could get interesting, right? So we definitely want to keep an eye on those. What else? The IBB monthly chart. I mean, that's nasty. It's not a bearish engulfing candle, but it's not a bullish one either, right? So the IBV guys, big red candle on this one. Volume wasn't quite there last week, but these are kind of your, your guild, right? And Amgen, right? Kind of the big ones right here. Weekly chart under the 30 weekly moving average, right? It's almost a bear flag down right here, and it's under this ADMA here too. So let's take a look at a couple. This is two names right here. So Amgen, right? Big volume under the 80 man. This is pretty weak, right? So if it fails as a falling wedge, right? It fails a falling wedge, right? This thing could see 208, maybe even 206. Right? It's got a closing gap down here, and it also I think they already did X dividend, right? So no X dividend on Monday. So this actually could drop on X dividend. So keep an eye on Amgen. So it could be pretty interesting right there. So that's the IBB looking pretty weak. We'll look at like two more sectors here, guys, then we'll wrap up here. I just wanted to go through these and just kind of put some stuff on your radar that maybe you're not used to doing. And if hopefully you guys enjoy this, I might start doing this a little more often on Saturdays after we kind of wind down with the newsletter, stuff like that. And just go through some sectors and some charts just to kind of give you some heads up, because a lot of times folks will put this stuff out on Twitter, right? So it's hard to just kind of go through the streams and just put stuff up there, but this is just kind of talking about them and just kind of kind of looking at that. So hopefully you guys find this helpful. But so we'll look to try to do this on Saturdays and just kind of jump in, just kind of relax session, not not doing too much. I'm multi-streaming, so I'm kind of experimenting with that. I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on the ShareVision, which is really cool. It's a new site that's it's basically like Twitch just for finance stuff, right? So it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. So we'll see how that goes. And then let's take a look at two more sectors, guys. We went to the go out names, and we'll take a look at the stay at home names here in a second. But let's take a look at oil here first. Oil's been on a rampage, right? So this is your monthly chart right here, and oil got crushed, right? Oil got crushed. Look at that. We should have just loaded up on gas, right? And in fact, there was a lot of great stuff that really got crushed after in the pandemic, like silver. Right, it was just we like $10. Buy silver at $10. Just epic, right? So really, really nice stuff there. But oil got crushed, and it's been just kind of grinding its way up right here, right? But that's a big drop, right? So when you guys look at this, everybody's talking about oil and all that stuff. It's hard to say, right? So exactly, even if you go back farther, right? Oil. This is 2014. Right? If you go back to the financial crisis, well, oil hit all-time highs and it was just ripping, right? I'd be really worried about that if we got there. But are we there now? No, I mean, look where oil is. Right? Everybody's like, well, oil's getting to watch out for the economy. I don't know. I know gas prices are getting higher right here, but it was nothing like, if anybody remembers 2008, 2009, right? Or it was like, oh my goodness, like people were quitting their job because it was too expensive to go to work. They didn't make any money. It would cost more to fill their car up. So, and then that was it right there. So we are getting kind of perky, right? I mean, there's some levels out here that are kind of interesting, right? So you got that's a big geometric here. It's kind of corresponding with the 50-day here on the monthly chart. So just see how that goes. But look at that, big difference between the Corona crash, right? And honestly, this is looking like, if you guys let's say this were the 1 minute chart, would you guys be bullet like wow, this thing's ripping? No, right? You'd look at this and be like, wait a second, that had a huge drop right now. Where's my retrace, right? So look at that. You got the 618, you got the geometric line right here, all at the same level. That's some pretty big confluence right here, guys. Right there on oil. So if this were the 1 minute chart, right, on a Thursday with some news, or on Fed, not on Fed day, because that's always messed up, but right, that's the move. This is the retrace. It's grinding its way up. So let's see how it handles the 618 right here, about that 72 area here on USO. In the meantime, it's just kind of grinding. It's a red candle on the monthly chart. We won't even dig into it. And let's look at one more, guys, on the bearish radar. So we looked at the go out names. Look at the stay at home names. Okay, so this is a custom sector that we made as well. You can see the names that are on here. I'm not trying to hide anything. It's just just I don't want to mess with it because I don't want to accidentally delete anything. But all right, Zoom, Piton, those are the big ones. T-Doc, right? That's one that you stay at home to go to the doctor. Dash, that's where you stay at home and get your food delivered. Chewy, that's where you get your dog food delivered. Right? Netflix, you go home and watch shows. Right? And Docu, that's where you sign your documents. Right? So, but those are the big names that we like to day trade, and or even just swing trade. And we like to see what they're doing. So look at this. Look at the stay at home names. Nothing. They're not doing anything, right? A lot of them are new names, but they're just chopping around right here, spinning top, right? Not really exciting, right? So the weekly chart's okay, right? Netflix had a couple decent moves, right? So this was what Netflix's move right here, right? For in that area, kind of push that custom sector up. But it's okay, right? So weekly chart's okay. We're over the 30 weekly moving average. Not horribly bearish. We're bearish in the monthly chart, but last month was good, right? So if we can push back above that 1800 level, right, this sector might get going again. And you can see, look at all the upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow. Does this thing want to go? Maybe. Well, we know that Chewy was looking good, right? That was a good retail name last week, right? So Chewy was nice, right? So Chewy was nice, and we got Home Depot reporting this week. That was nice, right? And so those are kind of the big ones that we're looking at going into this week. And let's just take a look. Let's go ahead and one more time look at the daily chart. So even though monthly chart is looking blah, daily chart pretty nice little move right here. And I think Chewy had a lot to do with that. A lot of names were just bullish on Friday, right? Netflix was bullish, right? Big day on Netflix on that one. In fact, really just a drop-based rally right here and some good volume. So Netflix could start to do its thing. Right, starting to break out of that geometric line right here. So Netflix is one to keep an eye on the radar here too. So, so pretty good stuff, guys. Those are the big sectors here that were, in terms of its monthly moves so far, that are looking the most interesting, just from the beginning of the month to where we are now. So I would keep an eye on those guys. Keep an eye on the names that we pointed out here going into this week. Of course, we'll be tracking these in our group. Kind of going through there. And doing that, so we'll see if anything sets up this week for any swing trades. But definitely keep an eye on Home Depot going into earnings this week. That should be interesting. And let's have a good week this week, guys. So anyway, be sure to tune in tomorrow night, guys. I'm going to tweet them all out on Twitter. We're going to go live with ChatterQuant and going to talk about some of the new features of that. So definitely be sure to check that out. And thanks everybody for tuning in for this sector review here on Saturday. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the evening. And like I said, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. And thanks guys for all the notes. Again, I'm not sure I'll be able to get to all the chat messages between all the different broadcasters, but cool one. QCOM looking good for one. That could be an interesting one on the semis. And like I said, we'll do chart requests again Monday night. So be sure to bring those there too. So and thanks Kalani, really appreciate it. Yeah. So Costco, we'll take a look and bring that to Monday night. That's been super strong. Apple is looking really interesting. So if we're actually bullish this week, and tune in tomorrow night for the Elliott wave count too. Right, so be sure to check that out as well. If the wave count is bearish, then I'm out on Apple on the for the market. But if that wave count gets invalidated, Apple's looking very interesting. So we could talk about that a little bit more Monday. But it had an inside week that failed to break down, and it's reversing back up through it. So if it breaks out of the prior inside week, it could get strong. We'll review those charts later. And new base player, thanks on the DHI, really appreciate it. And Ollie, PayPal, yeah, PayPal getting crushed out there, right? So I just can't on PayPal. I'm not even getting involved right now. So maybe some sideways action and then a breakout. I just think it's going to be in an accumulation period for a little bit, but that's just my opinion. So we'll see where we go there. Thanks, Bell H. I really appreciate it. And guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you found this helpful. And then if so, we'll catch you guys next Saturday for some more chart review. And other than that, we'll see you guys tomorrow night for our regular Sunday show. Well, not the Elliott Wave show, but we've got a special guest. Oh, and then next week, I've got Trading Composure coming on, and we're going to answer, well, we won't be going live, but we're going to try to get folks to send us questions about trading psychology. I mean, the guy's brilliant at it, so that should be a fun one. We're going to do a recorded interview and hopefully get that posted for next week. So, but anyway, guys, really appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your Saturday evening. Stay healthy out there, and remember your risk first, and stay safe, stay in the game, and we'll talk to you guys soon.